Welcome to Profiles in Eccentricity, a show about weirdos. With your hosts, John Fahey, Aaron Peter, and Matt Brousseau.
Hello, folks. Welcome to Profiles in Eccentricity. It's a show about weirdos, doggone it. My name is John Fahey. Joining me as ever, the centaur of my attention. Doctors hate this geyser.
Doctor hate this geyser?
Doctors hate this geyser?
Is that because I'm shooting
The rope. Oh. Aaron Joseph Pita.
Shooting.
That's me. Guilty is charged, and you, my little overfed, long-haired leaping gnome, the star of my own Hollywood movie.
Long hair. What is that?
From fucking Spill the Wine.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, all right. I was like, man, you're terrible at this. What are you saying? What?
Overfed, long-haired, leaping gnome.
I don't think I'm overfed and long-haired at all.
Well, you're certainly not leaping. Sleeping.
Sleeping. Definitely, yeah, sleeping. Yeah.
You know, 3 to 4, 4 to 8. You know.
Now, speaking of someone who spills the wine.
The
The wine meaning semen?
I don't know.
Matt.
Hi.
Matt Brousseau. Handsome young Matt Brousseau.
Oh.
You got us over here at your place over here in Chineseville.
Yep. Real nice.
Real nice.
Thanks.
As always, please follow us on the Instagram account. You can see photos of these weirdos and the provocative individuals that we talk about. Profiles in Eccentricity on Instagram, PP Podcast on Twitter. And as always, another episode per week on the Patreon, $5 a month. We got some fun stuff today. We shook up the format. And we collaborated.
It might be a little shake
profiles.
up here and there every once in a while from here on out.
Yeah, and we did. I'm a big slut,
What?
so I collaborated on some stuff with Matt, and I collaborated on some stuff with my main roommate over there, Aaron Joseph Pita.
Main roommate.
Yeah,
Yeah, we sleep in the same room.
Whoa.
we live together.
.com.
Yeah, now you get it.
Yeah,
But which one of you eats the most ass? Really, that's what that whole
Well,
site
I'm
was
overfed. I'm overfed.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I'm
Long haired.
on a intermittent ass fast.
Yeah, I think all of
Yeah,
us.
I cram all my ass eating into a compressed eating window of 8 hours. So it allows me to eat all the ass that I want while still maintaining a girlish.
And that is also the way that Aaron and I have tested negative for COVID and COVID antibodies.
That's right.
Is a healthy amount of ass eating.
Yeah, the various intestinal flora and fauna has colonized our immune system,
Right.
preventing any sort of other foul invaders from taking hold and
That's
replicating.
my secret, Cap.
That's smart.
I'm always sick.
To me, you guys are always sick. Yeah.
Thanks, man.
You're welcome.
And incest.
Now, Matt, I understand you have a little bit of a news item.
Sure. This is something that...
Is it fake news?
No, this is a real one.
Not interested.
Oh, you will be. This is from the end of May from BBC, and I've just been holding on to it because there wasn't just not going to throw these out willy nilly. Of
course.
Sure.
Wait for this smorgasbord here.
Willy-nilly.
This is from the BBC, and it happened in 2019, but the case wasn't settled until the end of May, and so that's why it was reported on. This is just the headline from the BBC. Men hired for sexual fantasy break into wrong house.
Men hired
For sexual fantasy.
Oh, I heard about that. There's a rape fantasy. One of those kidnap, blind, torture, kill fantasies. They're like,
No.
go in there and fuck my girlfriend real hard.
You're
Shit.
shitting me.
It's certainly... It's
Well,
not,
that's what I paid them to do.
You paid him to go fuck someone else.
Yeah.
So me and Aaron, we bust into a house. We're hired to go into some place where some woman, is
Woman.
with a
You don't know.
guy,
Yeah.
whatever, with a safe word, and we're supposed to be like, you fucking bitch, we're gonna tie you up and fuck you.
Hurry up,
Maybe.
it's a fucking party.
Maybe. In a sex fantasy gone wrong, 2 men with machetes entered the wrong home.
Machetes? Machetes? Oh my God!
Well, you hire the best, John.
Oh, that's not.
It's not like a flowers dressed like cops or big dildos. It's machetes.
Dude, machetes
John.
is terrifying.
Well,
You're going straight to a Jason Voorhees level.
These guys are the best.
Immediately.
These guys are the best.
And there's two of them.
Yeah.
They only work together.
And they only go to the wrong house.
Sometimes me and
I
this
said
guy,
it was the last house on the left.
yes.
sometimes me and this guy really rile each other up. And we get into a lot of trouble together. I mean,
But when we're on, we're on.
nobody does it like we do it.
So they enter the wrong house in New South Wales, Australia, before quickly realizing their error. They'd been hired to
Crikey.
So you guys you're according to the article at least, who knows if this guy is being honest about what his fantasy was, but he says that they were hired to carry out his fantasy of being tied up in his underwear and stroked with a broom.
Stroked?
With a broom.
And what do you mean stroked with the
Like
beat?
brushed.
Yeah.
Brushed.
Right.
Oh, that kind of stroke.
Yeah.
Well, maybe he was stroked off.
And the machetes are.
A mistake. One of many, it seems.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
So he paid these two guys. He arranged everything over Facebook. He paid these two guys $5,000 Australian.
Holy fucking shit.
And as the judge said, he would pay them $5,000 if it was, quote, really good.
Oh my God.
So the judge is obviously aware of how this stuff works.
Yeah.
Because he knows the difference between regular and really good.
Yeah. These weren't those $4,000 guys. These were $5,000 guys. These guys show up with machetes. I mean, these guys are no joke. I mean, these guys swept them up real good. They swept them into a nice corner.
Shit, man. Why didn't you say so before? You sent the 5,000 guys? Shit.
That's all you had to say.
So they missed the house by about 30 miles.
30.
We're in a whole new parish. These are nice church-going people.
I said,
suddenly they got to do
after the sheep field.
Jesus Christ.
30 miles. So they just go into this guy's house. The wrong house guy, he noticed his kitchen light is on at 6:15 in the morning. Just goes downstairs anyway.
Oh, this guy wanted to get stroked on the bright.
Yeah.
First thing.
Or maybe they just been sitting in the kitchen the whole time and like, when is he?
The other guy, meanwhile, is tied up in his fucking basement waiting.
He's tied himself up.
He's got an array of brooms out. I had everything, man. A dustbuster.
A
fucking-
Dyson.
Push broom.
Yeah, I'm talking about dusters.
Straw broom. One of those nylon ones. Doesn't even work.
The rubber ones to get the dog hair out the carpet.
This one, none of the bristles are even connected. It's a mess.
I had a hairbrush. Comb.
Do your worst, I was gonna say. So he sees this guy. He hears these guys. The light goes on. He hears these guys calling his someone's name, and he doesn't see them right away because he has this sleep apnea mask on.
Jesus fucking Christ! What a horror show.
And he takes it off, and there's two men with machetes standing over his bed.
Wiki wiki, shithead. You're not gonna believe what's gonna happen next.
So they said after a discussion, apparently.
Oh.
They said, "Sorry, mate," and shook his hand and drove to the correct house.
Oh my God.
Jesus. Well, I mean, listen, these are civilized people.
Well, I mean, at least, but when you get in character, come on, let's get in character.
Oh, you me?
No, I'm saying
On the way in, like they get all riled
They get
up.
all in, yeah.
It takes a minute to get out of character. You just can't snap
Yeah.
your way out of it. You
Exactly.
know, it takes your.
Now I got to get back, and the exhaustion.
I mean,
of
you
the-
got a couple of Daniel Day Lewis's over there.
Yeah, you an artist.
You an artist? I'm working with Mercury. High science, man. You know, break down the aesthetic distance. And all of a sudden, this guy's like, "Oh, I'm the wrong guy, mate." And
No.
you're like, "No, you're the right guy." Hardcore guys.
And then they get back in the car. They have to redo their whole setup. They have to listen to the best of Jack Johnson on the way to the next house in order to get in the mood of pretending to murder someone.
They got to do the meth again.
Yeah, you got to get murdered.
you have to. Have you tried it? So they show up at the right guy's house, the correct guy's house, And he said he was like, he told them to put their knives away. He didn't want the knives.
I don't want the
machetes.
knives. I don't want the knives for $5,000.
Then he made some bacon, eggs, and noodles, and then the cops showed up. And
What a great time.
It really sounds like
Bacon, eggs, and noodles? Sounds delicious.
I didn't know you could have that for
You
breakfast.
can do whatever you want.
I
You're killing
guess.
these people.
Noodles for breakfast? Sure.
Well, I mean, we're doing high kink shit.
When eggs are on a noodles, you can eat noodles anytime.
Yeah. When you're tied up in a chair like every 90s movie had. Aaron very, very, very accurately pointed out that there was a huge trope in movies in the 90s where there was a guy being tortured in a chair.
Do you think that started with Reservoir
What
Dogs?
the fuck is it, man?
It's always like, all right, man, this is the new thing this decade is chairs.
Guys
and
tied
tying
to
them up.
chairs.
It could be in an action
Swimming-
movie. It could be a thriller. It could be a wacky hijinks family movie.
Right,
but we
right.
got to have a chair.
Was
and
it
this
in
guy's got to be
Encino
tied.
Man at one
Swimming with
point?
sharks, I think, and the ref, Kevin Spacey tied up in a chair two separate times.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
but
then-
he asked for that.
Like,
There's a Dennis Leary movie that was like that.
oh, that's the ref.
There was a Jim Carrey movie, I think.
There was a walk-in one.
Yep.
Suicide something?
Suicide Kings.
Suicide Kings?
Well, I mean, did it start with Reservoir Dogs? Because that was what, 92?
Sure, yeah,
That's
maybe.
possible, it's
maybe.
possible.
That's
But
pretty
you know-
popular. Michael Madsen dancing. That's a pretty popular torture
It
scene.
was, yeah.
Fucking ear off.
That article you sent me, he made it up on the fly.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
was
He
so
just
cool.
he thought of
Another movie, a Cagney movie.
yeah. He thought of a James Cagney movie where he was dancing.
and he
That's-
never rehearsed it. Did you read that?
No.
And they used the first take.
Yeah.
Oh, that was the thing you said yesterday. No, I can't read it.
No, I
I'm
know,
very
I know.
presidential like
yeah,
that.
you don't do your daily press briefing.
No, you read it to me and then I forget it. Man, I got machete guys. Listen, man, I got machete guys coming over at 7. Can we wrap this up?
I'm sorry, mate.
Sorry, mate. Shake my hand. Let's get out of here. That's Are you gonna? Someone's gonna make fun of us for doing Australian accent.
Absolutely.
Come at me.
Oh no,
Yeah.
Oh, I'm Australian.
Come at me and at me.
come in me, bro.
Come inside me, bro. You won't.
You punk ass bitch.
Anything else to this?
The one of the men has now been acquitted. Doesn't say whether the other man was charged.
Who charged them?
The
The guy whose house they broke into originally.
Yeah, I assume so. It doesn't say here.
That's crazy.
But they shook hands, man.
that means something.
That means something.
I think entering a home with it says acquitted of entering a home with an armed weapon. So maybe the
armed weapon?
police charged him.
the weapon was armed.
Well, here's the thing.
I don't know how it works over there.
You can go, well, there's two guys with machetes in your house, and you wake up and you can have a discussion with them where you dissuade them from doing anything further. But you might think to yourself, you know, maybe I should tell somebody that two guys broke into my house. If they're in the neighborhood.
Yeah.
Just in case.
Yeah,
Because they seemed like good lads.
It is a good ruse to say, I'm sorry, mate. We were just doing a sex thing with someone.
it was a weird sex thing. I'm sorry.
You know, it's kind of like what if Jimmy and Jules, I'm sorry, Jules and Vincent. They broke into the wrong apartment.
Right.
Yeah.
And, they got guns blazing, right? Guns that they have around. Fucking make me. And it's the wrong guys. And you convince them that it is the wrong guys. And they go, hey, man, you know what? We're professionals. We're professional hitman. We dress like clowns, but we are professional hitman. We will leave. I'm very, very sorry. And then they leave. You're probably going to call the cops because you don't know who they're going to go stroke.
Yeah.
Right.
So I understand why this gentleman did it, but now what's very interesting is how the police knew that they would be at this other guy's house.
Well, there's probably only two houses.
Yeah, 30 miles
They
apart.
they drove 30 miles down the road.
That's why it was 30. That guy's basically his neighbor.
Yeah.
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 30 miles apart.
Yeah.
It's a big country.
You said it.
In a big country.
So the first guy, he said, I misread this part. He said that at 6:15 every morning, a friend comes by to make coffee. So he assumed, and I'm sure that guy comes in to like fuck him in the ass.
Without
and he's like, what are
machete.
these two guys doing here?
boy.
Machete. I have a friend who fucks me in the ass in the morning. I don't have
Yeah.
two guys with machetes.
Hopefully not before, or not after coffee.
Well,
No,
I
not
hope
after.
after. You want
Oh,
to clean
you
it
do.
out.
No, that warms you up, you know?
It's true.
The shit going out warms you up
No,
for the cock
dick
going in.
cock going
Let's
in.
not get too deep into the science, but
Well, John, you
Well,
got to
well,
get deep into it.
it's high
Otherwise,
science,
what's the
man.
point?
We'll talk about it in the Patreon.
Yeah.
sure.
The lawyer for one of the accused, this is how it ended. He said, "quote It was a commercial agreement to tie up and stroke a semi-naked man in his underpants with a broom. Entry was not with intent to intimidate. That was intent to come, I guess.
Well, maybe they're out there in the bush, and it's just machetes are just something you carry on you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Just to be
We
safe.
didn't enter your house specifically with machetes. The machetes were on us when we entered your house.
Yeah. It's like Fidel Castro used to have a gun on him, but a lot of times it was just to like scare a herd that was in his way or something.
Yeah.
Even his mustache was fake. That was just to frighten children.
I heard
Is that true?
Yeah, no.
I heard he couldn't throw a curveball for shit.
Really?
Well, he never made the majors. You can't make the majors with one pitch.
No, you got to have a breaking ball. You have to have some kind of off-speed pitch, and I heard he did.
I'm sure we'll return at some point to Fidel Castro in baseball, but is there anything left to this item?
Nothing in the article, but I hope that the man was later, someone helped him
I hope
get
he
off.
got off big time.
Yeah.
You know?
The man in the house.
And I hope those two men get off.
Yeah.
And I've never heard of the break into my house, tie me up, and stroke me with a broom. But
Yeah.
that sounds like, for him, that must be a great time.
Yeah, I wonder what the whole mental, breakdown is. That
Well, he's trash.
maybe.
So they're sweeping him up.
Sweep me up.
Oh, yeah.
Sweep me.
Put me in the bin. Put me in the bin. Oh, shit.
Shoot it in the bin. Yeah,
We simply cannot be breaking into the wrong house again.
Yeah.
can't keep losing cum like this.
I really am actually now thinking about Fidel Castro and baseball because it's huge. It's huge.
It's
down there.
perfect.
It's a good.
It combines two of our favorite things.
Yeah.
Communism.
Hard. Yeah.
In baseball, I'm
to
not
each
sure,
according
but-
to his need and
From each according to their ability.
yeah, and it's great good old fashioned American sport of baseball.
Yeah.
Do you want to tell Aaron about the wonders of democracy?
Oh, whatever.
Oh, that's a good transition, John.
Yeah, I know.
Well, you have to-
I've been doing this for a minute.
You'll have to hop in because
Feels like an eternity.
I don't have the specifics in front of me, do I?
Just wait for us to entertain you.
Yes. I'm sitting here in my throne, and
Now, John, do you remember the? So it's 1967, Aaron.
Mm-hmm.
no, it's 2020.
Yikes. Do you remember the name of the town, John?
I don't remember the name of the town.
Okay, so there's a small town in Ecuador, and it's called Picoza.
Yes.
That sounds
Picoza.
Italian, but Picoaza.
Wait, P.I.C.
Coaza. So Picoaza.
Picoaza.
And they have an election coming up.
In 1967.
1967.
Tiny little town, 4,000 people, I believe, something like that.
Yeah, sure.
And there's
Sounds like a small
there's just bad infrastructure. Poor running water. Really bad hygienic conditions for the local populace.
Well, you're working in is it water a lot of the day? I'm guessing.
Everything's really swampy,
yeah.
and continue.
So there was they had a local. It must have been a foot powder company. It seems like the type of place to sell foot
Great
powder.
place to have foot powder.
Yeah,
You have
and the logo-
trench foot or whatever.
Exactly,
It was called Pulvapies,
Pulvapies.
which means
foot powder.
Pulvapies.
Pulvapies, yes. But I'm American, so I say Pulvapies.
Pulvapies.
Yeah,
I also
swine.
have COVID, and I'm spreading it to all my friends. I'm American, okay?
I'm a COVID kid, and I live in seclusion.
And I'm here. The virus is fake. It's all illusion.
I stay up all night, pray for my absolution.
If I get a bruise, it's called a COVID contusion.
I know I'm COVID, and I have a bruise. I didn't die of bruising.
I didn't die of bruising. So, around election time, Pulvapies, or was it Pulvapies?
Pulvapies?
Pies, yeah. Pies means feet. Or,
Pies.
Yeah,
Yes.
Pulvapies.
So, the day before the election in this small town for mayor, the company, Pulvapies, they hand out a leaflet. They pass it around. I don't know if they drop it from a helicopter. I don't know what the fuck they do. But there's a leaflet that starts going around.
It floats down the river of swine, whatever the swill they got floating around.
And it's the same size and color as the paper that people vote on.
So it looks like a ballot.
Yeah.
And it's basically like saying, no matter who wins the election, choose Pulvapies.
Right.
So it says, for mayor, honorable Pulvapies. And they hand this around. The logo looks just like that foot logo from
the neighborhood.
Oh, the Hafo
the happy foot.
sad
It's just
foot.
it's quite this exactly
just a foot.
It's a smiley face on the bottom of a foot.
Do you
remember back when we had that thing about the foot that you could have sex with?
Oh, the pussyfooting around shit.
Right where the vaginal opening was.
The vulva.
Instead of that.
Oh my god, the honorable Pulvapies. Talco.
Yeah.
Talco's talcum.
Yeah.
So his mouth is big. Okay.
So it's
great. This is great.
It's
His
a
mouth is fucked.
smiley face foot.
Mm-hmm.
And he's doing the Nixon. This is 67. He's doing the peace sign Nixon.
I am not a foot.
I think it's supposed to be victory.
Oh, right. Of course. I mean, which is
the only way you get peace. or PS.
Well, yeah, and of course, if you're resigning the presidency, you declare victory with two fingers.
twice, yeah.
You're all pussies.
So, Aaron, can you guess what happened? What the result of the
He
election
won.
was?
The foot won.
The foot powder
One
mayor
Yeah.
of the town.
And did he turn around the
but
infrastructure?
it was a lot of it was because people really couldn't read.
Yeah.
And then people also thought that it was maybe sort of a vote for hygiene.
Right.
Like improved conditions
Sure, this is
in the town.
1967, man.
Yeah.
I love this.
Yeah.
Yeah, people, listen, democracy back then was probably very recent in Ecuador. They probably had just been democratized by at the barrel of a gun.
The U.S. had let them have a safe election.
Yeah, Dole went down there, was like, we got to fucking get some pineapples. So
Well, it was right after. So Kissinger's out of office by now, and there was so many fucking things that Kissinger was like, well, we can't let them. We can't trust them to democratically elect somebody.
Right.
And they have a
Chile and
I'm sorry, this is kind of a side thing, but they had some kind of amazing historical ruins there too in
Ecuador,
in the area.
Ecuador, there's
In the area near that town.
Yeah, Quito is down there.
So they had a little bit of, sort of like a tourist thing from that or whatever, but it was still like a very poor region. And
beautiful rainforests.
it was really hard to find additional stuff after.
There's almost
It's almost like they were so embarrassed they covered their tracks.
There's no I had some access to like university archives and there is almost no reporting other than blurbs in like the Minneapolis Tribune and the New York Times.
Right.
And so there's
also it's a town of 4,000 people 54 years ago.
Yeah.
Right.
And so maybe there probably is just not a lot of
Today it trends on Twitter for like a day or something.
Exactly. But it did get it like, there was, I think advertisers in New York made fun of the Pulvapies thing, saying like, you might have
assholes.
recently heard that, a foot powder won an election, like, they commented on it, but it was not much follow up.
And so all of there were, according to the article from 1967, dozens of defeated candidates threatened to sue.
Defeated.
Very nice.
Really good stuff, Matt. Defeated.
That was the wording. No U.S. papers carried reports of how the Ecuadorian, this is from Snopes, officials ultimately resolved the matter, and there's no other information on the subject. At least one New York business riffed on the incident 4 months later to tie their advertising to upcoming local elections. Your vote, sir. Did you happen to read that story from Ecuador? Seems that they sell a foot powder down there called Pulvapies. And recently, during a local campaign, advertisements appeared that said, vote for any candidate, but if you want well-being and hygiene, vote for Pulvapies. When the ballots were counted, the foot powder was elected mayor by a clear majority. Tomorrow is election day. Don't write us in, but before or after voting, come and see us, some of the candidates we've lined up for your fall and winter enjoyment. Do you like candidates for foot powder? This is the store for you. And so that is, I think more elections should be won by inanimate objects. I like right now in LA, I think I'd vote for like, I don't know, like
I think
a chair.
Garcetti is an inanimate object.
Yeah. I think it's been proven that the LA mayor is next to useless.
A douchebag is inanimate.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure right now the governor of Florida is a fleshlight.
No, he's one of those foot fleshlights.
Yeah.
Which is kind of bringing it around.
Yeah.
Wow, that's pretty great. I love a good Pulvapies mare.
Yeah. I mean, Happy Foot.
But like if you're not really that.
Well, you're not used to. You don't know the conventions of.
But if you're not really that educated, and you see this stuff going around, it's kind of
a vote for me is a vote for hygiene.
Is a vote for hygiene. And that really is a big enough thing that you're going to see more of these ads than political ads.
Yep.
And you go like, yeah, sure. I fucking.
What a wonderful democracy live in that they airdrop ballots.
Right. Exactly.
Hell, we don't have to even. We can get. I mean, maybe they knew exactly what they were doing, but they were tired of all the representation that they had previously, so they said, fuck all of you people running.
Right, it's like Mickey Mouse always gets like 0.5% of the vote, like with a write-in.
Yeah. No, and then eventually it becomes Donald Trump.
Right.
I guess people meant to write duck, but they spelled it.
That's true.
Instead of cuck?
No, for Trump.
Donald Duck, Donald Trump.
Yeah.
Right. And, Mickey Mouse is only slightly less racist.
That's true.
Yeah, he was in blackface for a bit.
Yeah, Steamboat Willie and all that.
All those parties in the 50s he was at.
Splash Mountain.
Oh, yeah, Wet Willie.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was getting whored out by Scotty Bow. Oh, boy. Oh, you're going to make me a big old shit sandwich? Sure. Oh, boys.
I never judged whatever they were into, as long as it wasn't hurting anyone.
The mouse was anti-Semitic, but he was cut. Couldn't put two and two together. Not my business. Not my problem. I think they liked his high-pitched voice and youthful demeanor. He was damn near 40, but he looked 12. Hey.
Felt 18. He dropped trow and go to town on the duck like there was no tomorrow. I've never seen anything like it.
I like how you're reading Scotty's book like Casey Kasem.
The guy that reads the book sounds like that.
He says everything like this.
You won't believe it.
And he really does. And it's not Scotty reading it, but it's this guy that kind of talks like this. And it's not far from what Scotty actually sounds like.
The mouse's cum tastes like funnel cake. I don't care.
I like funnel cake.
I like funnel cake.
Cover me in powdered sugar and
Cover me in Pulvapies. I don't care. There was a white powder going around at these parties. I don't know if it was Pulvapies,
dried cum,
confectioner's sugar, or perhaps cocaine. I don't ask a lot of questions.
No, I'm going to ask Matt. Question.
Huh?
A question.
Huh? Oh,
question.
You're asking me a question. I was asking you, sorry.
If you heard there was a fight in a brothel between firemen and clowns, who would you think would win?
Don't say the audience.
Take it easy. Well, the clowns, because the firemen only fight fire.
The clowns win.
Yeah, the clowns are sneaky people. You can't trust them. Firemen only know how to deal with fire. Everything else is a mystery.
1855, Toronto.
No, sleepy Toronto town?
Yeah, the circus comes to town.
And how?
Now, but you may say sleepy Toronto town. In 1855, the population of Toronto had doubled in the course of a few years. It's a real booming.
That means undesirable.
20 years after our story takes place, Toronto would double in size again. And
it's the COVID of Canadian cities.
And now here's a crazy thing. This story fucking ties to like 20 different other profiles we've done in a bunch of weird ways. Mm-hmm. But
Amy Semple McPherson's grandfather was there.
Well, we love when we were big fans of the circus, right?
Circus,
yes,
right? So we got the circus comes to town, and it's July 12th, 1855 in Toronto. Mm-hmm. And they have like equestrian trainers, they have
acrobats.
Acrobats.
This circus had everything.
A bunch of clowns. They got, an elephant. They got
you gotta have an elephant.
Horses.
Maybe a fucking bearded lady, whatever.
But they had a cockroach lawyer.
They go out on the town, and there's
they had a night off.
They had a night off, and they go into this brothel.
You can't give an elephant a night off. It's gonna be a mess.
No. They were shocking it to death with electricity.
Right. Yeah, I'm sure the elephant was being beat in seclusion.
Yeah, of course.
Beat in seclusion.
But they got into the brothel that the clowns and all this crew went to.
They were having a good old time.
They were having a good old time, and maybe somebody said something to somebody else. But the hook and ladder crew.
How do you insult a clown? It's very
no. The clown insulted, I think, a fireman. Maybe.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, clowns are tricksters.
the hook and ladder was basically like a fire gang back
Right. So
then.
back then it was all private.
Right, yeah, it was that whole thing about New York where
Exactly.
they show up and fight each other. And
Yeah.
Right. So
And they would be paid by...
whose building it was on fire?
Right. So you got to set the most fires to win.
Right. They show up and they place the bid. No, I'll put it out for 50. I'll do 440.
So, like, I think a week before this, 2 fire crews showed up at a fire. They got into a fight with another crew. The building's burning down. Cops show up. The cops get involved in the brawl. That's called the fireman's riot. And
And all these cops and firefighters, they're all fucking like, Tory Protestants.
they're all
Right. Well,
Orange Order.
Well, they're all bros. They both have hockey teams.
No, they're
on
really
the
all
ponds
Orange
and-
Order, and they're all like...
Well, what is Orange Order? Can you explain that?
Orange Order is basically the precursor to the Klan in that it was an anti-Catholic... it's just like a...
Fraternal order.
Yeah, it's like a Freemasons for
For a racial divide.
Yeah, and
And
Toronto-
and the Orange Order has a Grand Master. The Klan has a
Grand Wizard.
A Grand
They
Wizard.
always need the saddest groups always need the biggest titles.
but the night
Wizards?
the night of is July 12th, and now in the Orange Order, marching season is like this time of year.
Marching season.
They go on marches, and,
So as they spend all winter building their marching muscles.
and then they go march through Catholic
Yes.
neighborhoods and basically rub their faces in that they have the best jobs. And it's the same in
They
Toronto.
sound like really cool folks. Yeah.
And everybody's fleeing Ireland at the same time from the Irish famine. So the vast majority of Toronto is Irish Catholic. But all of the fucking cops, again, are all fucking Orange Order Protestants. So this riot happens with the firemen. The building burns down. Nobody goes to jail because whether you're a cop or a fireman, you're probably in the Orange Order, and nobody sees anything. So they...
Well, with all this fire, you can't see through
It's so
it. you know?
smoky. Yeah.
Yeah. It's orange everywhere.
July 12th is the biggest day of the marching calendar.
Well, I've always said that, but
It celebrates Billy fucking this king defeating this Irish thing in the 1600s. Whatever, they get really amped up about it,
Right,
even though they historically don't really understand it correctly.
and it means nothing. It really
It's
is
really
yeah.
stupid. It's just a day to get psyched.
Let's get all fucking drink some Mountain Dew Code Orange and go try and knock some Catholic skulls in. But they go out to this fucking whorehouse where big old clown shoes and Bozo
yeah.
are plowing out these hookers.
Yeah, these guys have fucking rubber horns and ladies.
But they're really giving it to these ladies good, better than these fucking
They're spending all day in
firefighters.
the circus being goofs. You know,
They're all
finally
very flexible. They got good senses
Yeah,
of humor. They're
yeah.
actually quite
they're
handsome.
probably pretty fun.
underneath their
feet.
big feet, big shoes.
You know what that means?
You know
Big
how
shoes,
many
that's
guys
right.
they can stuff in one of those girls?
Yeah,
And they just pulling condoms out of their mouth like
yeah,
When
yeah.
they're all tied together.
and everybody's juggling their balls.
yeah, and they all went to college, clown college.
Yeah. Yeah. You got
Anyways,
the acrobats.
I can just
you got
picture-
the guy, the equestrian
He
guy.
can suck his own dick, but he won't. He wants you to do it.
Suck a horse's cock.
Yeah, the equestrian's there. He's fucking
wouldn't.
hung like a horse.
Yeah. He's like, hey, lady, you come back to the tent with me. Watch me suck this horse's cock. I really get off on that.
Maybe you can learn something.
Trust me, I went to college. And so this fight breaks out, and they beat the shit
Beat
out of the fire.
fuck out of the hook and ladder crew. They beat the shit out of them. And
Yeah.
then the clowns have reign of the brothel all night.
Nah, they're
and
just
and
fucking
they're
going
just
uptown.
going, they're clowning these girls.
It's free. It's on their
There's
house.
makeup everywhere.
Crying.
Oh, it's
Yeah.
disgusting.
They're crying, but it's a happy cry. For
Yeah,
once.
yeah,
It's-
yeah.
Everybody's gagging and
Yeah.
crying.
Oh.
And mascara's running.
Yeah.
No,
Tears of a
It's
clown.
not always bad. Yeah.
the flowers and the girls are squirting.
Everybody.
You know what I
Nuts.
mean?
Yeah.
It's nuts. It's crazy.
Yeah. It was.
It's a circus.
It was
It's a
nuts.
fucking circus, man. 3-ring circus. 3-cock ring circus.
Aaron says some shit to me the other night. He goes, "Oh, this fucking girl squirting all over the house."
Yeah.
I don't even know what we were talking about.
Oh yeah, you moved into his room.
Probably
You
my
know.
abundant sex life
Probably.
during
Yeah.
this time of quarantine.
Especially, yeah.
The carpet's still wet, right? Jesus
Big time.
Christ.
We don't have carpet.
Yeah.
Actually, in their bedrooms we do.
So you know, the reason why too, especially that the firemen's riot happened and they got away with it, is that the sheriff is Orange Order and his last name is Sherwood, and
It's half sheriff. Yeah, makes sense.
and he's the chief of police, and the constables are just chosen. So you really just pick your friends.
Yeah,
There's no training. It's just
it's Tammany Hall.
it's total fucking bullshit.
This is how stuff was mostly done forever.
So the next day,
It's
Friday the 13th, and they go to the fucking circus and they tell everybody in the surrounding stalls, like, yo, there's going to be trouble.
Get out of here.
Boy.
And they fucking, there's, carnies getting their asses whipped, clowns getting beaten.
They're throwing midgets at the beer.
They show up with pikes and all those like old type of like gangs of New York weapons.
Mm-hmm.
And the police chief is like intentionally dragging his heels because it's his boys' fight.
Yeah.
And eventually
that never happens anymore, so that's really weird.
Yeah, and he sends everybody to, eventually, but the mayor has to show up and bring out the local militia to get it to stop with fucking bayonets.
Yeah.
The mayor, tell him what the mayor did.
Fuck. The mayor showed up and he had
Pulled out of a fireman's hand an axe.
Oh yeah, there was a fireman was gonna chop up a clown with, an axe, and he had to rip it from his hand.
The mayor of Toronto.
Can you imagine Garcetti showing up?
I don't know if that's the right idea.
My dad let off OJ. Can I get the axe from you, please?
Yeah.
The guy's about to chop up a clown with an axe.
Yeah.
The mayor took it out of his hands.
Yeah. And then this clown's exhausted. He's been fucking all night.
He's all denutified.
I mean, his balls are real juggled up. So he's not in a real fighting mood.
The blood
No,
is
I
just
mean?
the blood is there's no blood left
Plus,
for the
he's
brain.
dragging his big old feet around.
So,
He can't
by
move
the
fast.
time they get to this, the tents are down. They're about to set fire to the animal cages. That's when the militia shows up with the bayonets and they stop.
Yeah.
So the animals are safe.
Thank God.
And they get the clowns out of there. The clowns hightail it to the next town. But in the ensuing weeks, all of the cops and firemen are like, "Oh, I
wasn't. What are you talking about? They weren't.
They don't recognize anybody."
Yeah. Nobody recognizes anybody because they're all in
now
the same,
you got
fucking
two riots
clubhouse.
back to back, where nobody is charged, nobody goes to jail, and after the second one, the
public's pissed.
is like, nope,
Okay.
and they fire every single cop in the city and
start from
totally
scratch.
start over.
Wait a minute. It can be done.
Totally.
They fire them all.
Fire, and some of them got their jobs back.
Sure,
like
sure.
100.
Yeah, but they got a fucking interview for it.
Exactly. They completely reformed the police overnight just because they were like, nope. And this fucking
And then over the next like 40 years or so, it kind of gave an opening in just like the local government to have more like less Tory and more progressive.
yeah, the Reform Party came into effect. The Reform Party finally got the backing of all these Irish Catholic immigrants that were coming into Toronto, and they backed them on on obviously a reform agenda. But before that chief of police, like, he fucking helped reform candidates like get fucking like assaulted in the street. When they were marching, some guy got shot and killed. Like, it was totally thug politics.
Yeah, it was.
But yeah, that's the story of the Toronto Clown Riot.
1855, you said?
55.
Jesus Christ, that's amazing.
Yeah.
These fucking clowns,
Yeah.
just trying to bust a nut and bust your gut.
I think, the phrase clown shoes, I think that gets a bad rap,
I think so.
I think. Can we take a quick break?
Yeah.
We'll come back, and Matt, you're going to have another two little things for us. We'll be right back, folks. And we're back.
There he is.
How you doing?
There he is, man.
How you doing, man?
Hey, ding ding, round 3.
We just came back from an ad break, but I want to give an ad break to Graveyard Shift Printing. That's the
Yes.
shirt.
Hey.
This absolutely wonderful shirt I'm wearing.
Beautiful.
It looks comfortable.
It's
fit.
the shirt fabric. Wonderful.
Joe likes really comfortable, soft shirts.
Yeah, it's good. A lot of fucking places are just garbage. And also, so there's this big picture of all of these naked people doing yoga or some shit.
Yeah.
And
It's hot.
all of the negative space is shirt. It's not one giant logo.
Isn't that nice?
It's gonna last forever. That's
Yeah.
what that means. So many shirts are just one big fucking
Right.
Yeah.
printed logo, and it breaks as soon
I've
as you
got to
bend it.
see the kind of like math and breakdown of how screen printing works through Joe over the years. and he really has mastered it.
Yeah.
He's very, very gifted with it. And like he did it with like on our piss shirts.
Yeah, the shirts that he makes,
They were able to
they
look
only
old
get better as
and-
you wash them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The fabric already feels like it's been washed a million times, but the way that he prints the print on it, they age just so gracefully.
Yeah.
And they don't crumble apart. Like you said, it's not like a single screen. It's layers and layers and layers. And as you wash it, it just fades into this great vintage look.
Yeah. Graveyard screen printing. Is that the graveyard screen printing?
Graveyard shift.
Graveyard shift.
Graveyard shift screen printing is like I mean, Joe will give you the best price if you want to get shirts made. And he's a friend. He does all of our shirts.
Logos are I have somebody on Instagram that logos are all great.
Yeah. Get at him if you need design help. I'm sure he'll give you a fair rate with that too. He helped us design our shirts with like a few.
Yeah, he charged us out the ass, but we'll give you a fair rate.
But we like that.
He did not charge us out the ass at all.
And out.
I like in and out the ass.
But yeah, hit up Graveyard Shift Screen Printing. You can find them on the Googs. You can find them on Instagram. See the quality of the work, and get some shirts, man. Apparently, business is really good for them right now.
That's great.
And
Look at the YouTube video.
even during pandemic and stuff, there's a lot of people making shirts. So
Great.
pretty dope. And we got new designs coming too.
Oh.
Don't forget. So we want to tell you about another.
You're gonna both tell me another great, wonderful.
We got another really tasty thing.
It's
for you.
a DP. It's a double profile.
You guys are gonna DP me. I'm a fucking buzz.
Well, it was. I mean, really, we did one too. So it's a TP.
Oh, what is this? A legal profile?
That would be PPTP.
And it's the choice of a new
My
generation.
PPTP is what I have in my backyard.
You said it.
I got my backyard, and
I mean, but wet the bed. That's a sleepy PP. You know
Sweat
that.
lodge, piss, sweat, whatever.
a sleepy PP.
Did you wet the bed? No, dude.
It's
I
a
had a sleepy pee-pee. Don't be weird. It's just a sleepy pee-pee.
And sometimes I cry, and then it's a weepy pee.
That's true, too.
With your Weibo, especially.
I cry in my sleep. Oh, yeah. Weepy pee-pee.
Ooh.
Do we want... I think we're talking about the early 1700s.
Yes. That's correct, John.
And we are going to Prussia.
Oh my gosh, I love this.
Yeah.
Now, Aaron, you know about the Potsdam Conference, right? Between, at the end of World War II.
At the end of World War II.
All of the giants of the world. Your Roosevelt and your Stalins and your Churchills.
They go there and they go, what are we going to do?
But that wasn't even the first Potsdam group of giants.
It wasn't? Were there actual human giants?
Yeah. Yeah.
For reals?
Yeah.
There were Potsdam giants?
The Potsdam Giants
Not a
were
baseball team,
a brigade.
No, that's not the Potsdam Yankees.
That's right.
This is a regiment that the king put together. And
Biggest motherfucks.
he was obsessed with having just huge... And, we got to say, at this point, Prussia was kind of coming up in Europe.
Prussia was at the beginning of its dominance.
Yeah,
sure.
they had some... They won some respect through Europe. And, this is like the era of the kings. And they're all interrelated, like we talked about.
Yep.
And, nobody's really from the country they rule and all that shit. So there's a lot of friendly relations. There's a lot of big alliances, and then you'll have these wars where...
This is why you'll marry this person.
Yeah,
and then-
Prussia is allied with Russia, who is allied with Poland, Lithuania,
but not Finland. Fuck them.
Yeah, and then so like they, and what I was asking you about the War of Spanish Succession.
Yeah,
that was happening around the time this king was in power. The king's name, Matt?
This would be Friedrich William I.
Yes.
Freddie Billy?
He was in power from 1713 till 1740. And during his time, I think he doubled the size of the army in Prussia to like 80,000.
And the war, Prussia did win respect in the early 1700s in the War of Spanish Succession. That was one of the things they would have been tied to. But a lot of the wars going on at that time were we're only going to war because that person's going to war. It's not really our fight, but
we owe it to them.
We're all in an alliance. That
it's
kind
fucking
of
my
thing.
sister.
Yeah, exactly.
And his son would be Frederick the Great.
Yeah.
So you don't usually get that name without
No.
table set for you at least.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, do you want to take it?
So
So the last episode that we did in studio, you had an army of homosexual lovers,
That's exactly right.
and now we've got an army of gigantic humans.
That's exactly right.
Oh, lay it on me, Daddy. I wish they were all gay too. Oh, jeez. Maybe they were.
Who's to say?
I get most of this from historyanswers.co.uk. It's English, so I can trust it. The regiment was called the Grand Grenadiers of Potsdam. And unofficially, they're called the Potsdam Giants. And there was only one requirement to join, and you had to be over 6 feet tall.
Hell yeah.
And that was
6'2",
it.
actually.
6'2".
Now, were these the same feet that we measure in today? Who knows?
6'2" was well, we know that was the thing. It was
so we
that
know-
or over.
so-
now, if you were taller, you got paid more.
So your pay was based on your height.
I love this. This is a real great meritocracy.
Pal,
Yeah.
you have no idea how weird this is going to get.
Now, they were all paid by their height, and they all were given a hat that was 47 centimeters high. It's about 18 inches
So
tall.
look even bigger.
Right. What kind of hat?
Just like a big like
Oh, one of those Prussian army hats?
Exactly.
Yeah, those fucking stupid things. I love it.
Now, you were allowed to, if you wanted to, you could just show up and join. But it turns out there weren't a ton of giant people willing to...
I don't think there were a lot of 6'2" guys.
No, throughout Europe.
Yeah.
So word got out.
Oh.
My king likes giants. And then suddenly,
Hot black guys.
we hear you got a big old farmhand down
Yeah.
down
Is your
there.
son a tall boy?
Oh, never on the peanut.
Exactly. So these guys, like as favors to this king, to curry favor with him, would just send giants, and it wasn't always with consent.
Not much was.
And even even though when you got there, you would be in the finest quarters, eat the finest food, treated better than all of the rest of the army,
Fuck the finest clown whores.
and
Never had to fight.
never had to fight. He never put them on the battlefield. It was a total personal perversion of the king.
Not even to put them out there for show.
Dude, that's what I'm thinking.
At least show as a show of force.
Well, he might. If odds are maybe he did. If he went to the battlefield, they would be flanking him. Or something.
combat.
No, but maybe they didn't see combat, but they literally saw.
It's very
combat.
Trumpian.
But they were just back in the edge of the field and never engaged. Maybe
Because
I don't know.
when you're on the field of battle back in these days, you don't even have a fucking binoculars.
Couldn't see 400 yards.
Well, yeah, you look far away. Everyone's this small.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, well, the
There's no need to worry, sir. They're all tiny.
They're getting bigger.
we can't even hit him with a bow from this here. The armies of Napoleon, which would be 100,000 people in an army moving,
That's the kind of size that truly matters, right?
right. But that would be decades later. So they would have these. It'd probably be 20,000 people, most 10,000 on 10,000, and they're fighting each other. But these guys were never. Maybe they would be seen on a hill somewhere. They were there purely for him.
Yeah.
Just totally
And they
cosmetic.
They were a not very happy bunch because they were, stolen.
Yeah, in the case of the most famous one is an Irishman
None of their
named
clothes fit.
James Kirkland.
Yeah.
The ambassador from Russia, he offered him a job on a ship.
Yeah.
And Kirkland gets on the
You
ship,
got Shanghai?
and then he's mugged
Press ganged.
and press ganged. They called it, yeah. And then they stole him, and they brought him to Prussia. And if you tried to flee, you would get killed.
Sure.
They
you're a
didn't
big
all
target.
die. Even though none of them faced battle, some of them still died.
Well, some of them were involved in experiments to make them even bigger, where apparently the king would sit there and have lunch while they got stretched on a rack. And then they were dying from it.
Boy.
And then he was like, I don't want to lose my giants, so he stopped.
Right.
After enough of them died.
But you break all their bones and they start swelling from the inflammation. Hey, look, he's getting
It's
bigger.
working.
But they had also the first, let's get these guys together with some big old tall women.
Yeah.
It's one of the
Eugenics.
earliest eugenics
Eugenics.
thing ever, and it's even quoted by Darwin
Yes.
in his writings. It's one of the only eugenics things that happened like pre-Darwin that Darwin could point to.
Right. And
Well, yeah, they had
some
big
big
kids.
old
They
babies.
had big kids, and it was
For Prussia for the next century almost would be known for its tall.
yeah. If you arrived in Potsdam, you'd be like, "What the fuck is going on?"
yeah. There's a
Because the whole local shit was.
these are some big motherfuckers.
What is going on?
Well, there's a profile that I've been thinking about doing about there's a village in I believe it's Argentina, South America. Maybe it's not Argentina, but it is in South America where there's a lot of twins. A lot of twins. And Mengele took a fascination to that. Dr. Death of the Nazi Party.
Right.
Angel of Death, Slayer, Track 1, Rain and Blood.
And he went down there and
What's all the hubbub about?
why are you all so many clones? Maybe we could do some tests. Anyway, so it's very, very interesting. Please continue. I love to hear about these gigantic men and their gigantic women and their gigantic babies.
Yeah.
So you're right. It, at least in this article, it says that their activities were confined to the parade ground. But, he was obsessed with them. And it wasn't just having them parade on the ground. And part of his, here's a window into his head. This is a quote from him. Quote, "The most beautiful girl or women in the world would be a matter of indifference to me, but tall soldiers, they are my weakness."
Yeah, you're a hot black guy or a giant Potsdamian fresh out of Shanghai.
Big old. One of the guys was Kajanis.
Okay.
He was
Lithuanian?
Finnish. And he was traveling just throughout Europe getting paid for being tall. No joke.
I mean, you think about the freak show stuff we talked about.
The entertainment, yeah.
He's really skinny. He's really tall.
Pair him with a dwarf. They're fucking
beautiful.
making acres of money.
Yeah, make them fuck.
And then you get word that the King of Prussia is really into that, and you just get.
Yeah, the first train. There.
Yeah, I think what was the Amber Room was the trade for a bunch of Russian giants. The Amber Room was like a whole gold room that was made by the Prussian king for the Tsar of Russia, and in return he just got and a bunch of giants he could find in Russia.
Well, I mean, nothing. There's no gold like human gold.
They were a pretty tight clique back then, the Russia Classic.
Yeah.
But yeah, there was another Irishman that was a pretty well-known poet, and he did all of his poetry in Irish Gaelic. Oh. And he was Kirkland, I think his name was O'Cassidy, if you see it. It's Thomas O'Cassidy, but it looks like Gaelic Irish, but it's Thomas O'Cassidy. But yeah, he had many, many books of poetry, and he was just very tall and got fucking shanghaied into this crew. So everybody is living this life they don't want to live.
Right.
So there's quite a bit of dissent in the ranks, even though...
And they're big guys.
But it's just so hard. Like if you're you're down on the fucking farm and they show up and they're like, not only will we take care of him very well, but we'll give you a shitload of money.
Right.
And you're going to be like, listen, man, I'm sorry, but you're going to the Potsdam Giants.
Well, because you're going to impregnate your wife again because you don't know what the fuck else you're doing. And so you need kids to run the farm. Here's some money. It was...
Yeah.
When you're
We're going to stud him out, too. Yeah. So.
Yeah. There was some little detail I saw, I think, about Kirkland, the one giant, and the Finnish one was like 7'8", 8'1", somewhere in there.
Nope.
No, Kirkland was 7'1".
That's
he was the
7'8" was the big one.
That's absurd.
I know, but that was 7'8". I think it's Kajanis.
I mean, how big was Robert Wadlow?
That'll be on the Wikipedia.
Because Robert Wadlow's the tallest guy in history, as far as we know, right? That's the Guinness World Record guy, and he was.
I think on the Bills they would throw 8'2".
So
7'8", I think, was the real height.
So Kajanis, people guessing went as high as 8'1", but it seems like the true height, according to Wikipedia, was 7'8".
Yeah,
which is also like.
But that's why he's getting paid. And the rest of these guys have jobs.
But I mean, those people, like, it's not a good regiment.
He's falling apart. His feet are probably broken.
In battle, they would be killed immediately.
I think he
you
had.
You don't want to have a big target.
He also had hypogonadism.
Sure, yeah.
Oh, he had tiny dick?
He had that type. He was very uninterested in women. And apparently, part of hypogonadism, you share this thing with eunuchs where you have very long arms. So he
Probably had a beautiful singing voice.
he had that, and of course, there's just artery issues.
Yeah.
You're that tall.
When you're that tall, especially that tall back then, when it's true freakdom.
and that's why they can't fight, man.
Right, they're falling all over the place.
Yeah,
Their feet hurt and all that shit. It's very few and far between that even now that tall people are able to.
you showed me the nope. He just shut me down as soon as I ate too. Nope. You are such a psycho in the best way. I love so much. It's you doing the 400 yards thing all over. No, they didn't.
Yeah.
No, they didn't.
I've come around on the I've come around on the 400. I've come around.
I'll give you another 2 years to get with 8'2".
He wasn't 8.
All right, but fine.
He wasn't.
But he was 7'8".
Yeah.
Could have been.
My size 6, 7, and 8. Now, did 7, 8, 9?
Now, the king, he loved these guys so much.
Yeah, did he fucking suck their dicks?
He might have, but that's not on record.
Well,
but
not
what is
the
on record?
hypogonad one is probably
Can we
really
talk
easy.
about the painting?
Well, so what is on record is that every day they would march through his bedroom, and he memorized how they look so much that
He would draw their portraits from memory.
he Titanicked them.
They wouldn't even be sitting in front of him. Now, also, Aaron,
Was it any good?
when he was sick, they would come. If he was depressed or sick, they would come through his bedroom. The whole regiment would march through his bedroom. Like hundreds of men.
At
dude-
their highest, they had 2,500.
Yeah. Not only that, Aaron.
The day's worth of money.
Preceding that is a bunch of musicians that have like an Arabic flavor.
Yes,
You know about that?
Yes, I saw that.
They're
yes.
like supposed to be like some sultan. Yeah. And they are
Moorish.
And they are preceded, the whole leader of that whole shebang, before you see the sultans and the giants, a bear. A trained bear walks through the room.
These guys
he
and their
was
bears.
the leader of the
He
troop.
was the leader.
Smoking a cigarette.
And,
Drinking a bottle of whiskey.
like this, I mean,
Doing a bunch of coke.
dude, seriously, like, it was one of these things where,
This guy, you can't
obvious-
give people power, man.
well, this guy also had such an obvious fetish. I was thinking, like, how much favor could you curry with him for a couple of tall guys?
Right.
Like political favor.
A ton, probably.
You know what I mean? Like, he's got a very obvious kink fetish.
You know what to pull.
You know what to do. And, if you're a ruler of any other country,
Send him a bear. Send a couple
him-
of giant guys. He'll get us what we want, right? He's so easily manipulatable, right?
Yeah.
so when his son comes around, his son is like, fuck this shit. And he just, like, integrates them into the rest of the army.
But the troop isn't officially disbanded until the early 1800s.
No, it's become, like, it's to this
It's a
day.
legacy thing.
To this day, there's even, like, a small band of people that
Probably have a cool patch.
harken back to that tradition.
Yeah.
In the German army?
In Potsdam.
It would be the German. yeah.
Yeah.
Potsdam Giants, it's a phrase I had heard, but I'd never knew.
And at first, when it first came around, before you found out it was just this weird fetish, it was thought like, oh, they can load munitions easier than other people.
But they're falling
and stuff
apart.
like
Their bones
that.
are brittle. Their teeth are falling
But
out.
if it was just for those tasks, let's say, it is a good idea.
Yeah,
Well,
you could
they,
imagine.
They thought that muzzle loading was easier if you were tall.
Yeah.
It's like they probably have like giant hands too that the balls don't fit. Like, it's like Shaq shooting a free throw.
Right. It's tough to be so nimble and dexterous with
Right.
it. Now,
You gotta have these nunchuck-sized triggers. You can shoot.
Yeah, they're shooting accidentally. all the time.
I can't fit my finger in.
they can just plug cannon barrels. Not
Looney
forgot about that. So
Jesus Christ, I wasn't a fucking tall fella. I'm just a poet. I'm a simple poet. I'm fucking 7'11".
The poetry I see from up here.
Jesus Christ almighty. James!
from up here, I can see the entire world, but can I really see it all?
He's got me cock on a rack. He's trying to stretch it.
Now-
You're a sick king. I go on you.
Do you have any insight into the origins of this guy's fetish?
No.
Do you know anything about this
No.
king that he was fucked?
I mean, I've got the notes from his shrink, but that's about it.
Shrink.
You mean long?
Wait a minute.
No, yeah, it was just he basically had it on pretty pretty blatant display, but no, there's no note of the origin. And he obviously had a wife, he had children.
Yeah, sure. But
I don't know if that's out of necessity or expectation.
Well,
maybe he
that's
was
part of his job.
Maybe he was been to both, man, non-binary, pansexual.
And there is wars during this time, and these giants are not going. And I think the thing that's so interesting to me that I want to know, and
where are my bikers? Where are my giants?
yeah,
That's what that is.
it's very chumpy. It's very.
It's just.
I mean,
for,
they
I
make
just
me
need
they
it
make
for
me feel good. It's Trump liking generals.
Yes.
Even though he doesn't like what they say.
Right.
He likes the look of generals.
Right.
What makes him, for Frederick, it made him feel kingly.
But when me and Matt were working on it at the house, I was saying to Matt, I was just like, what do you think about what it would be like if these fucking guys actually showed up at the battlefield? Would it freak people out? Would it have this kind of, I don't know.
The overwhelming show of maybe, but also
just scary.
Well, what I said, it was like, I think it would initially, but the moment you put a fucking musket ball into one of them,
massive target.
Yeah.
Too, right?
Yeah, huge target. They're not very nimble.
But if they get a fucking hold of you, dude, it's fucking curtains.
No, they'll thrash you.
Yeah, if it was,
I'll fucking thrash you.
If it was 500 years prior, if it was 500 years prior, sure, a regiment of giants.
The gun is an equalizer.
Yeah, it's the great equalizer in warfare.
I think the portrait of James Crooklyn survives.
It does, but it's not by the king.
Oh, is it not?
No, it's by someone else.
But he's in the uniform and everything too.
Yes, with this giant hat. He's basically 8 feet tall.
Yeah, the king would. Can you imagine this guy eating his lunch and watching them get stretched out?
It's yes, he would eat his lunch while they got stretched out, stretched out,
and then paint them from memory.
I mean, all of that is despotic. It's all of that is a guy who's
it's indulging in
it's
the madness of somebody who's drunk with power, right? Yeah. And that's why I mean, that's just not right.
And it also sounds like his son was. I don't know. I kind of want to look into his son more now, and I think about it. But it's like his son was like, "This is fucking stupid."
Well, he probably spent so much time talking about giants and not him. I'm your progeny. I'm going to take over the country. And he's like, "Did you see what that big idiot ate for lunch?
Make sure you treat
my big boys. I'm your big boy. I'm 5'11".
Yeah."
He's like McGilly Gorilla. He's like, treat my giants okay.
Jesus.
Isn't it crazy, dude?
The Potsdam Giants, all because this guy's got a weird fetish, truly a fetish.
Yes.
Maybe his dad was really
Do you think there was any sort of weird sex stuff going on?
It sounds like he wanted it to be, but none of it was
at least
recorded.
the breeding.
Yeah, I mean, it sounded like he probably ate breakfast during that. I think I made that joke while we were doing this earlier.
Boy, I love these sausages.
But I mean, then he's like bringing them like some tall girl, like, "Ooh, do you like her?"
It doesn't matter.
Think of the big maniac you'll make together.
Yeah.
Think of the giant object you'll have to shove out.
Yeah.
I'm only big. I don't have a brain.
Well, to be fair, Yao Ming seems like a really nice guy and a Hall of Fame basketball player. His parents were a project of the Chinese government.
No shit.
Yeah, to marry marry and create. So like his mom was a volleyball player, I think, and his dad was a basketball player, or at least a very tall guy.
Yeah, they weren't 7 feet tall each, but they were taller than average, especially taller than your average Chinese.
Sure. It blew my mind though. It was the only thing Darwin could point to in his writing.
Yeah.
Well, there's also wasn't the man, who's this? Gregor Mendel did it with peas. And probably around the same time.
Some really tall peas, too.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean...
the word is not going to travel, I'm sure. Yeah, for sure.
Or even record keeping or any... But, people were doing it with dogs for thousands of years before that.
Well, speak for yourself, man.
No, not sex with dogs.
Oh, okay.
I keep trying to get this dog knocked up, but if it's not working, no. But I mean, the breeding of dog breeds are a direct result of human intervention.
Of course, yes.
Right, so... I'm sure he talked about that, but not with people.
Yeah.
But I'm sure the Egyptians probably tried it. A bunch of warfaring people must have tried it.
Well, yeah.
At some point.
If you,
But it's very, very, very interesting.
Very.
And not even to use them in any way, just for show.
Yeah, it was just
crazy.
a little project and his little collection, and they were, kidnapped and, nothing in common other than your size. So then you have, this Finnish, circus showman is now living with a goddamn Irish poet, and nobody, and the other guy's like, I used to work for a diplomat, and like, you know, like it's just so people were.
I used to be a gigolo.
They were not thrilled, and I think they were able to say they were not thrilled because they were treated with luxury.
Right. And did they all speak the same language?
No.
Fuck,
No, absolutely
no
not.
way.
They came from all over Europe.
I'm thrilled. I'm not thrilled, huh?
I was stolen.
King sent them from all over the continent.
Crazy. I don't like it, but also I like it.
I love it a lot.
exactly.
I love it a lot. It's real sick and perverted. Now, Matt, I'm told you have an obit.
Yeah, so I want to tell a story that it made some rounds on the internets, but it's just, this is Profiles in Eccentricity. And
It's a show about weirdos. Doggone it.
This is a guy who his obit, someone saw it in the Arizona Republic, I think it was, and posted it on Twitter, and then it just kind of blew up from there. And then his nephew was like, "Hey, that's my uncle," and then he talked about him a little. But I just want to read. This is the obit his nephew wrote. This is a man named Randall Jacobs.
And this is a recent obit.
This is from about a month ago, May 19th. Phoenix. Randall Jacobs of Phoenix died at age 65, having lived a life that would have sent a lesser man to his grave decades earlier. His friends called him RJ, but to his family he was Uncle Bunky, a.k.a. the Bunkster. He told his last joke, which cannot be printed here, on May 4th, 2020. Uncle Bunky burned the candle and whatever else was handy at both ends. He spoke in a gravely patois of wisecracks, mangled metaphors, and inspired profanity that reflected the Arizona dive bars, Colorado ski slopes, and various dodgy establishments where he spent his days and nights. He was a living, breathing, quote, hang loose sign. A swaggering hybrid of Zony desert rat, SoCal hobo, and Telluride ski bum.
Oh my God.
A prolific purveyor of bunkyism such as, quote, save it clown, or, quote, Zebo, if he was in a good mood.
Zebo?
Or if he was in a mood, yeah. He would mercilessly tease his, quote, Goombats nephews with nicknames such as, quote, Mudflap and, quote, Style Master. That took me the second time reading to actually laugh.
Style Master is very good. Style Master. All right, Style Master. Why don't you and Mudflap come down here? Zebo!
Just days after his beloved cat Kitters passed away, he too succumbed to, quote, the great Gradu, leaving behind a vapor trail of memories and a piece of sage advice lingering in his loved one's ears. Quote, do what Bunky say, not what Bunky do.
Oh, Bunky see, Bunky do.
For all his chaotic energy and hysterical charm, he had a gentle soul. A night out with Bunky could result in a court summons or a world-class hangover, but his friends and family would drop whatever they were doing to make a trip out to see him. His impish smile and irreverent sense of humor were enough to quell whatever sensibilities he offended. He didn't mean any harm. That was just Bunky being Bunky. When the end drew near, he left us with the final Bunkyism. Quote, I'm ready for the dirt nap, but you can't leave the party if you can't find the door. He found the door, but the party will never be the same without him. In lieu of flowers, please pay someone's open bar tab, smoke a bowl, and fearlessly carve out some fresh lines through the trees on the gnarliest side of the mountain.
Oh my God.
Oh, man.
So,
Good old Bunk.
So that obit started going around, and a writer for Uprocks posted it, and then the guy's nephew, this artist.
Now, is that Mudflap or?
It might be.
Style Master.
This guy named Chris Santa Maria is 38. He's an artist in New York, and he said, "Hey, that's my uncle." Mm-hmm. And so he started telling some stories about his uncle. And I think we've all, I don't know about you guys, but there's been adjacent relatives who as a kid, I had a brief moment of oh, this guy is something. But, they were never around long enough to be more than just a brief impression of, it's like my Uncle Mike showing up and just drinking a ton of beers and being like, whoa, I didn't know people could drink that many
Who's
beers.
that dude?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was like, six
cool.
or so, yeah.
I like him because he doesn't like me.
Well, it's just, he's like, they don't think, an uncle doesn't think twice, they're just like, I am who I am,
Yeah.
and I'm going to treat you cool, but
Yeah.
it's
Where's the beer?
yeah, exactly. And so Chris started talking about some of the things that Bunky did. There was a moment where Bunky was like living in his parents' house because he was between jobs.
You don't say.
And yeah, exactly. And he said like Bunky showed up one time and he was like he needed to get a job because he was just at the house so long. You could tell that he was bumming out, like his Chris's parents.
Yeah.
His sister, like it was his sister's brother. And he said that he'd never done construction before, but he saw a job for a construction job. And he'd never done any construction. So he went to Home Depot and he bought a tool belt.
Nice. Yeah.
And then he tied it to the back of his car and drove it through the desert until it was all roughed up. And then he showed up with what looked like a used tool belt.
Amazing.
They hired him immediately.
Oh, my God.
And then he started nailing 2x4s, and they were like, "You don't know what you're doing, do you?"
Nah, man.
Belt's
Zebo! You know what you're doing, Style Master? Fucking idiot.
Do any of us know what we're doing?
I'm staying at my mom's right now.
Chris says one time, this is around the same city, he tried to pick me up from elementary school in his shitty 70s Buick LeSabre.
Nice.
He called it the sled.
Oh, nice.
Oh.
And so after school got out, Chris walked outside to see his uncle revving the engine and hollering expletives out the window. And he said all the kids turned to the teacher and they're like, "I think Chris is getting kidnapped."
Oh my God.
Wow.
One day he's driving around with Chris and he opens his trunk and he said, "Take a look at this sawed-off shotgun." And he said, "It's hot." And Chris is like, "How did you get rid of it?" And he said, "Well, I was working construction. We were putting concrete into this ditch, and so I just threw it into the concrete and left it there." And then he took all of the shells from it,
Well,
and he put all the gunpowder on the ground, and then he lit it in front of the kids so they could have some fun.
In the shape of a swastika or a shaka sign.
nice.
Let me see. Let me pull out some other ones. Here.
It was really weird because we were just watching The Wire the other day and Aaron asked me, why is he called Bunk in The Wire?
Oh, yeah.
And I didn't find an answer. Did some internet scouring.
And you couldn't find anything.
No, but he is based on a real detective that went from like a patrolman to, a homicide detective in Baltimore. All those guys basically are all based on real people. From the drug dealers to the cops. It's all fucking Simon working the crime beat for the Baltimore Sun.
Yeah, the fucking homicide life on the street, man.
That's why the last season.
Omar, everybody comes from somebody real.
Omar, come on.
So one of Bunky's brothers was a NASCAR mechanic, and NASCAR shows up in Colorado where they are. So they all get passes down to the, where all of the tents are, and they're hanging out. And so Chris says, he said, he took me to my first NASCAR race where we snuck into the DeWalt promo tent and got kicked out because we started shotgunning Busch beers and snagging all the swag. And as they're getting kicked out, Bunky yelled, "I thought this was America."
DeWalt, Baltimore company.
I thought this is at a NASCAR rally.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, I'm too American for NASCAR, I guess. But also, yeah,
DeWalt sucks. Milwaukee's better.
if you're fucking shotgunning bushes anywhere, it should be safe to do it at a NASCAR rally, right?
The perfect
Yeah, but he
place
started
to do
stealing the swag.
Well, the swag is
Swag is swag.
swag.
It's meant to be pilfered.
Whose is it? Whose is it? I don't know.
Yeah, Chris says that when they were when Bunky was lighting the gunpowder from the shells, he was blasting Metallica's "Ride the Lightning" out of his.
Yeah. You boys ever been to Mexico?
This next one's called "Trapped Under Ice." Check it out. You're really gonna like it.
I took the restrictor plate off the LeSabre. Not exactly street legal, if you know what I mean.
Keep that on the down low.
I got priors.
Chris says, on the last day of 4th grade, before my folks got home from work, he played me a cassette of Alice Cooper's School's Out on my boombox, and then we shot a potato out of a homemade PVC pipe cannon fueled by Krylon fumes.
Oh my God. It wasn't just a regular potato gun. It was fucking spray paint
Yeah.
propellant.
He really liked to fuck around a lot.
Dude,
Yeah.
this guy. This is just a lot of time on your hands before the internet.
This is what everybody wishes they had this uncle.
Yeah.
Everybody.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So your parents could tell you to keep away from him until he slips through the cracks one time.
Yeah.
And suddenly, you know.
He gives you your first M80.
Yeah. My cousin took me to the fucking St. Patty's Day parade. Just actively schizophrenic. First time I ever drank. Drank all day.
Actively schizophrenic.
Yeah.
And the first time I ever got drunk was at my aunt and uncle's family food fest. They had a root beer keg and a regular beer keg, and I just went for the beer keg. And of
course.
everybody there was totally fine with it.
Yeah.
My parents, my mom was fucking
Tearing it up.
Your mom was
tearing it up.
fucking?
She was tearing it up.
My mom was fucking.
My dad said the next day I was he didn't say I was drunk, but he said, "You were really worried about mom. You were like, is she okay?" That was when I was just drunk as a fucking 12-year-old. Is she okay?
Am I okay?
So Chris says he said that after his uncle liked to go skiing, and he said his uncle said that, quote, "Hitting the fresh powder is like diving into a warm rack."
You said it. That this guy's he's a folk hero. He's a living legend.
Yeah,
he's dead now, but
And he said his uncle got him into the Beatles. He said he didn't commit suicide. He said that right before, like when COVID was coming out, he said, "Hey, if I get this COVID thing, it's gonna die with me."
like I'm gonna finish it.
Yeah. It's like it's not coming out alive or something like that.
Oh, he's gonna from the top rope.
Yeah.
COVID.
nobody gets out alive.
I'm gonna cage match for COVID.
But check out, just look up Uncle Bunky on Up Rocks, and there's some other good stuff. But I admire someone who
Real joie de vivre.
like he could have not lived that life, and maybe he would have lived another 15 years, but he did exactly what he wanted to do on his terms.
Till the end.
More power to him.
Right on. R.I.P. Uncle Bunky.
Yeah.
All right, let's call it there.
Rest in power.
Yeah. Legends never die, bro.
Rest in powder?
Oh, when I die, bury me inside the teak.
You could do that. No one would notice for weeks.
No, they would have no idea.
Be like, I'm trying to check this guy off. And
There's been
We
a
didn't even
dead...
bury him. He's just in a seat.
Exactly.
it's his seat.
All right, I'm gonna say goodnight. My name is John Francis Fahey.
My name is Aaron Joseph Pita.
Matt Brousseau.
Good night, everybody. We love you.
Good.
Starburns Audio.